Merry Crisis, everyone!
Yeah.
Borrowing that from the haunt industry because it feels right.
I think that's a universal feeling this time of year.
It is. So it's Christmas Eve, and this will be our last live stream before the holiday, but we will be back 2 weeks from now because we're getting back on schedule finally. Last week, we talked about Efteling as part one of our trip report from the Netherlands, and we always break our trip reports into a couple different installments now because we talk too much, especially about places we really enjoy going to, and we absolutely enjoyed our trip to the Netherlands. So it was worth kind of breaking it apart. Tonight, we're going to be focusing on the latter half of our trip and on some of the different cultural aspects of the Netherlands that we spent some time dipping a toe into. We actually spent the better part of the past 2 years dipping a toe into more of the cultural aspects of the Netherlands too. So we can speak to this more intelligently, I think, than we used to be able to. But
yeah.
Let's dive in. I think it is going to be a slow night because everyone, I'm sure, is traveling for the holiday. We're out the door at 5 a.m. tomorrow to make our own travel. So if you're watching this on the back burner or after the fact, welcome. If you're watching this live, welcome. If you have any questions, comment. You're more than welcome to before, after, or during the live stream. We'll be happy to answer what we can. So our socials are Tim and Katie. Our primary is YouTube, where you are presumably watching this now. Facebook and Blue Sky, we share the same handle. We couldn't get it on Instagram because someone beat us to it. So it's The Real Tim and Katie on Instagram and Threads. And then timandkatie.net is our website where we'll often post helpful blogs, kind of SEO supporting pieces, different kinds of elements that will kind of support the backbone that we built on YouTube. So that's where we live on the internet. We're going to dive straight into this by starting over at the beginning to some extent. This is basically just a recap of everything that we did, and we started our last live stream this way as well. So if you missed anything, let me bring you up to speed. We spent, it was like a 10-day trip total, I think.
Yeah, with travel
give or
days,
take. Well,
yeah.
with travel day, it was more like 11 or 12. But with everything encompassed, I think we spent 10 nights total on different properties in the Netherlands. So we started by going direct to Efteling, where we spent more time than we did last time. 5 nights would have been 6 full days, except for that we had to transfer on one of the days. So 5 nights and 5 days. It was an absolutely wonderful time. And we spent a lot of the last live stream talking about our wonderful time at Efteling. It's one of our favorite theme parks in the entire world, if not our absolute favorite. And we will have a lot of vlog content coming from Efteling and from indeed Amsterdam as well, but not quite yet. We do have some stuff to pump out for the holiday season that we have media obligations to do. So we stayed at the Bosrijk Hotel initially, which was a lovely stay. A little cold, but then I think it's just going to be cold in the wintertime because that's how winter works.
Yep.
So lovely time at the Bosrijk. Then we transferred to Amsterdam, direct from Katjuvel, where Efteling is, via private transfer. We actually had a car service pushing us back and forth between the two. And we stayed at the Grand Hotel Krasnopolski in Dam Square. It's under the Anantara brand name. And this is our second time, or was our second time rather, staying at this particular hotel. It's one of our absolute favorite stays. I have nothing but great things to say about it. It's pricey. I can't deny this. And we'll talk more about the room and stuff later on because this is the Amsterdam live stream anyway. But apart from the price point, I don't think we could do better than this in Amsterdam. It's centralized. It's less than a kilometer from the Grand Central station. It's city center. It's near everything you could ever want to do, apart from one thing, which we'll also get into tonight. But the staff is amazing. The rooms are amazing. It smells lovely. There's little
good
freebies they pepper in every so often too. It's just a dream. It's a dream resort. So this was not the room type that we had this time around, but we did take one of these pictures the last time because we did have a room type similar to this. We'll actually show you a little bit of our room during this live stream. There will also be vlogs coming, but let's get into Amsterdam. So fast forward past the first 5.5, 6 days of our trip, and you have us moving from Katjuvel to Amsterdam. by a private transfer. That was thanks to Day Trip, I believe, who made it incredibly easy. All they did was text us, "Hey, I'm outside," helped us with our bags, and took us. It was about an hour and 20, hour and 15, hour 20.
Yeah, no more than that.
It wasn't too bad.
Really not.
So the Netherlands is quite small as countries go. Everything is relatively close together. If you're used to driving, let's say 4 hours to Busch Gardens, an hour and a half is nothing.
Nope.
So we spent 5 days in Amsterdam, which was a stark contrast to the last time we went to Amsterdam. This is my second time going to Amsterdam, your third.
Yeah.
So the last time we went to Amsterdam together, which was 2 years ago, it was, I don't want to say an afterthought because, you know, you can't go to the Netherlands and not go to Amsterdam at all. But it was something that
it wasn't the main part of the trip. We were there to see 2 theme parks and spend time
Efteling
there.
and Toverland. And we had a great time doing
And we
those.
had, maybe 2 nights at the Krasnopolski?
We had 2 nights at the Krasnopolski. We really only had 1 full day in Amsterdam.
Yeah.
And it was, we packed that day full of fun. I feel like I was familiar with Amsterdam when we returned this time. So in that one day, we did a lot. And we didn't vlog any of it either. So that was another difference this time around. We did a bit more vlogging. And granted, the weather wasn't quite as favorable because we're, visiting in the middle of the winter, but we did do a lot.
No, we did a lot.
And we took a lot of videos along the way. So there will be a fair amount of content coming from Amsterdam. So what did we do? And I organized this in some kind of way.
I was going to say, I was like, this was not in order of... Well, maybe it was in order that we did it.
Well,
kind of.
It kind of wound up being in order that we did it, but there's some stuff that we did that we didn't vlog that I also wanted to pepper in there because the live streams are an opportunity to connect with Tim and Katie on a more personal level. So first and foremost, this was a vlog day. We did do a Dom lookout, and this, you're seeing a picture of Europe's tallest swing, which is the over the edge swing on top of the Adam Tower. I can't remember the exact height. I wrote it down. It probably wrote it down in my Instagram reel that I posted. But they did an excellent job of sharing those photos. I mean, we had to pay for them, but they took raw video, 360 video. They gave us everything, which is like more than I could have ever hoped for. So we have footage.
The photo package wasn't terrible.
It was like $30. Well, it was €30, which is more than $30, but it wound up being very affordable.
Yeah,
I'm looking for the
need to do when you go.
328 feet in the air, which if you've been on a Giga Coaster is comparable. But if you've never been on a Giga Coaster, it's 200 meters in the air. It's tall. And it was very cold that day, which meant it was very cold on the top of the tower. But we actually had clear skies that hour, and it was a beautiful view. It wasn't
quite as clear as this. It's not a stock photo, but this.
No, it's from the website.
Photo. But we did see canal boats and cruise ships and whatnot from that view. We did see, we saw a lot. As clear skies, really no obstruction. Funny thing, like 2 days later, it was so like foggy and overcast that you couldn't even see the top of the tower from the ground. So we were like,
meant
wow.
You would not be able to see the ground from the top of the tower.
Yeah, it would have been like getting up to the top and being like, well, so much for that view.
And we came, hold on, this is important, this close to switching our days around when we were looking at the plan, because we also, one of the things we did that was not part of our vlog series and will not be in a video was we went to Haarlem for a day, and we were trying to plan that around the availability of family because we do have a family member out there that we wanted to see. And for a hot second, we talked about flipping our days around, like, oh, if we book a different day for a dump, you do buy or you can reserve tickets in advance. And we were like, if we reserve this day, then we know we can do that. And then the Winter Lights Festival later in the evening and yada, yada. And if we'd done that, we would not have been happy, I don't think. It would have been like still a fun day. We always find a way to have fun.
It's still a cool place. There's there's the fun elevator light show experience. There's photo ops, great restaurants and food and beverages up there.
But so the view is like a big selling point.
Like if you can't see the view, it's like bummer. So that was a really fun activity. Definitely touristy, but you know, there were people there who were American or other English speakers. There were plenty of tourists up there, and there was also people who seemed like they might be Dutchies as well. So, you know, a cool activity for anyone visiting. And you don't have to do the swing. The swing is an additional €7 or something when
per
you
person.
get a ticket.
So it's €15 for us.
Yeah, so but you don't have to
nothing,
do it.
Really.
But if you want to do it and you don't mind heights, you're a little bit of a thrill seeker, it's definitely very cool.
We also, when we discovered Adam Tower and Adam Lookout by extension in 2023, it was because we actually took a ferry from Amsterdam Central, which you see behind there. It's where the big Amsterdam is written on the building. That ferry to the island is free because there's a whole business park. Commuter. Yeah, there's a whole business park on that island. It's not just Adam Lookout. There's also like music studios. There's a small neighborhood. There's a college, an arts college. So back and forth from Amsterdam Central to the island that all of this is housed on is free. We took that ferry with said family member previously mentioned to have a quick lunch or dinner in that area because there's a bar over there too. And I looked up and I saw people swinging out over the edge of the building. And I was like, why did we not do this? This looks so cool. So this was on our bucket list for this particular trip to Amsterdam. Someone in the last live stream or after the last live stream did comment asking if we went to the Anne Frank house or to any of the museums, like the MoCo Museum, anything like that. I do want to state that a lot of what we did on this particular trip was touristy, and on the other side it wasn't so much the, you know, kind of like immersing ourselves in the art as it was just like immersing ourselves in the day-to-day. Like we wanted to go to a grocery store, we wanted to go to a movie theater, although we didn't. We talked about it, but we didn't. We wanted to see, you know, like back and forthing to Harlem, like how do people live here. I feel like that is more important to us at this stage in our lives, is kind of just like seeing more about how people actually live in these places than seeing like the famous landmarks. Yeah. Having said that, you've actually been to the Anne Frank
I've been
house.
to the Van Gogh Museum. I've been to the Anne Frank house. And by all, like, they're wonderful things to keep preserve, like the Rijksmuseum, all of them. And if you're, you know, making one trip to the Netherlands in your life, I think you should make time for them. This wasn't our first time there. It won't be our last. You know, God willing. But
it's also,
but
it's heavy
for the museums and whatnot can be heavy. But the Anne Frank house is definitely not like a feel good experience. It's very solemn and also almost always so like you have to book your tickets months in advance. Yeah. So it's not a like, well, you know, we have time.
You can't wander up on it.
Thing. So yeah, definitely a great experience. I'm glad I did it many years ago. I would do it again if I was traveling with people who really wanted to do it. I'd make sure we could do it again. But for us, this trip was more about the winter things to do, more like fun touristy things to do.
Yeah, and I do think, I mean, you kind of alluded to this, but I do think it's important that history is preserved, particularly now, as a lot of history is being erased, not naming names. But I also think that if you have a knowledge of that history, you understand what happened and why it's significant. It doesn't need to be the top tier must do of any given trip to visit these places and to kind of like walk back through these footsteps. For us, like I say, this time around, we were more interested in just kind of like the day-to-day activities, but also like having fun and like doing admittedly kind of touristy things, but touristy things that we would also do at home that like, you know, kind of draw our interest. So having said that, Adam Lookout caught our attention. The museums, which some of them we've been to, some of them we haven't, were just not a priority on this particular trip. We did do a lot more things like Adam Lookout.
Oh, yeah. That's fun touristy stuff.
So Adam Lookout is one of the highest points in Amsterdam, hence why the swing is the tallest in Europe. And in addition to different activities like shuffleboard and whatnot on the top of the tower, which are really, it's fun to be up there even when it's freezing cold. There's also a pretty good restaurant up there too, technically. There's the Moon Restaurant, which rotates, and we looked into that and thought it might be really cool. However, it was also a little bit pricier, and also it just seemed like it was going to sit really heavy. And we had like a big day planned.
Like possibly more of like a time commitment, because it was like table service and nice, and you want to sit there and get a rotate. I don't know how long it takes to do a full rotation.
But you want a full rotation if you're eating in the rotation restaurant.
So we ate at Madame, which is
all...
more of like a kind of like lounge. They had food. We obviously ate delicious food there, but they had more of like a not full service, a more of like a lounge kind of picture.
Yeah.
With still a great view out the windows. So.
And that's Madame in all caps with just an M in front of Adam, as you see pictured here.
Very clever.
Everything is on brand. The food we ate, this goes for everything across the board, and we can talk all day about the food because it is just so good. But the food that we ate there was above and beyond, like just so good. And honestly, I think if we'd eaten at the Moon Restaurant, I think it might be a little too rich for me, like looking at the menu they had versus what I ate that day. I ordered this burger that I thought was just going to be like, quickie, like, consume and then get on with the video. And I was like, this is so good.
Yeah.
This is so good. I'm dying. So.
And I had an Amsterdam mule drink, I think, which was, I love a mule, love a ginger beer. And it was like, it felt on brand.
And this is all part of our vlog, by the way. So we're not going to dwell on any particular thing in this experience.
I did love the seasoning on those frites.
Oh my God. The seasoning was just so good on everything.
Yeah.
Food in the Netherlands is good.
So delicious.
I know I'm very aware that there are going to be some Dutchies watching this tomorrow, our time. And I know that you all as Dutchies consider a lot of your food to be like bland and tasteless. When you're used to the absolute garbage that the American restaurants and food service industry will feed you on a daily basis, anything that tastes as fresh as you get it typically in Europe, but particularly in the Netherlands, so far as we've experienced, everything just tastes so much better.
And also, like, just like with any, big city, there's a lot of food culture influence in the city as well. It's not, maybe Dutch food itself doesn't have a whole lot of spices and a whole lot of flair, but you're eating food that's inspired by other countries around as well. Like, which
I think it's not the next thing, but we made more food stops that were a little bit more Dutch in nature, and I have to say, like,
well, and we'll talk about that.
Oh, they hit
because I still loved it.
So Adam Lookout was one day, and we combined it with a couple other experiences that we'll also talk about that didn't take quite as much time. One of the things that we did on, I think, our last day, our last full day in Amsterdam, was Amaze Amsterdam. Now, full disclosure, the first time I heard about this was through a vlog from Mouse Vibes, if you're familiar with that YouTube channel. If not, check them out. They're great, and they do a really good job with edits. So I did not realize that Amaze Amsterdam was a good distance away from Amsterdam City Central. It's in an old warehouse on the edge of the city, I think. And this was the one thing that I think we could have taken public transportation to get to, but it was the only thing that would have required several exchanges. And we did not realize this until it was too late to make all the exchanges.
Super confident in like navigating that, so we did decide to we got a taxi.
I don't think it would have been difficult, but let's just say this: Uber was not able to pick us up at our hotel. We would have had to walk to pick up an Uber, and from our hotel, the fastest, most direct way outside of ride sharing would have been take a train to like one of those little commuter, like inner city, I don't know what they're called. I'm using all the wrong words.
It's like a tram.
Tram. Take the tram from Dam Square to Amsterdam Centraal, take a train or a metro just outside the city, transfer to a bus or a bike to go the rest of the way. And we could have done all that if we'd looked into it ahead of time. We just weren't thinking about this very logically, because almost everything in Amsterdam is walkable or bikeable. And this is one thing that might not be. So Having said that, we did charter a taxi from the hotel just to go there. It was so much more expensive than any of those other options I listed. It's like €35 to get from the
That's
hotel.
what you get from calling a taxi.
I mean, yeah, but it was direct and it was easy, and we did get there. It was easy to get from Amaze Amsterdam back to the hotel via Uber, and that was like €11.
Yeah.
So that would have been better. Anyway, this is an audio visual immersive experience similar to, if you're familiar at all with Meow Wolf or Otherworld or some of the other things we've covered in our time on YouTube. So naturally, like, this kind of thing draws our eye. And seeing that there were so many cool, I mean, once you follow the Amaze Amsterdam page, like, your feed is full of all these cool light shows and projections. And I was like, this looks so neat. I really want to check it out. It is very touristy, but it's also a art exhibit. So it felt like there was a little bit of culture involved, and it was super fun. There were different, at many of the places in Amsterdam we visited, we did have kind of a melting pot of different people on our tours. So it was fun to kind of mix it up a little bit, get out of the hotel, hear like German, French, Belgian, like all these different.
French is the language of Belgium. Or Dutch, actually. Don't they do like 50-50?
Yeah. I don't think there's an established, well, I don't want to talk because then you're just going to correct me.
Oh, sorry. Well, there's no language called Belgian.
I wasn't saying languages. I was saying peoples.
Okay.
Different peoples
The
represented
Got
out
it.
and about.
Okay, that makes sense.
Anyway, so that's what we were doing. Amaze Amsterdam does have its own blog. One of the things that we weren't able to cover with a blog is the Amsterdam Dungeon. Now, this was kind of an afterthought. I'm not going to lie to you. This was very much
spur of the moment.
We walked past this on our way to somewhere else, and we did the thing somewhere else. And then after that somewhere else day was done, we were like, well, we've got, like another 2 hours before dinner time, give or take. Do we want to go back to the hotel, or do we want to do something else? It feels like a waste to go back to the hotel. So we walked back this way. And full disclosure, I got this confused with the Torture Museum. So like when I said, let's check out the Amsterdam Dungeon, I hear it's very interesting. I really thought this was going to be like a self-guided tour of like old world history. That's what the Torture Museum is. And I believe that is a standalone establishment that, in hindsight, probably not family friendly the way that the Amsterdam Dungeon turned out to be. To an extent, there's a minimum age to be able to go into the Amsterdam Dungeon, but it is a much more like fun experience at the Amsterdam Dungeon. Now, you can't take pictures or video at the Amsterdam Dungeon, so you have to rely on us describing it to you, and we're going to absolutely drop the ball on that. But it was one of the most fun things that I think we did during our time in the city. And it was goofy, it was kitschy, it was, a niche tourist attraction. But I describe it best as a combination between a theme park attraction and a haunt. And that should tell you all you need to know about why we liked it. Trained actors, there were tours available in both English and Dutch. We wound up on an English tour just by luck of the draw, because we were the last tour of the day. If it had been in Dutch, we would have tried to follow along as best we can. We do speak, I think, enough Dutch at this point to have been able to pick up most of the context, but it was funnier in English.
Yeah, I mean, you can understand it completely. Yeah.
It was also like the actors are all, doing the old school British accents, and the attraction itself is actually layer upon layer upon layer upon layer of increasingly dark and foreboding dungeon crawl style linear haunt experience. And the actors will take you through one layer at a time, and you keep going deeper, and you keep thinking like, how is all of this under this one building? I could never have foreseen this much happening in this one spot. And it goes probably an hour hour and 15 maybe.
Yeah, maybe. It's definitely there. I mean, there's vignettes. It takes you through different Dutch history. I say history because some of it is kind of like urban legends or folklore, but also just like dark history, like famous murders that happened or whatnot. Really, really cool. Again, the actors were so engaging. There's audience participation opportunities.
Every vignette has audience participation. At some point, you are going to be voluntold to do something.
Pretty good effects and sets for what we've seen in like the haunt industry. There's even basically a haunt walk through the woods, which I was like this, with some not crawling but like low things, and it was pretty funny that I could. Like Tim and I were definitely like the most experienced in terms of this kind of like entertainment.
So we know how all the effects work.
We were, playing it up. When it came time to walk through the scary part, I was like, you should go first because no one else is like, these people are going to be like stopped in the middle of it. So
at some point you were put in a cage, and then you were also...
I was also volunteering.
You were voluntold for the Frankenstein experiment.
Well, it wasn't really a Frankenstein experiment. It was like an autopsy.
No, then the body... Oh, you were out of the room when the body came to life. So
okay.
You didn't see the Frankenstein-like of it. It was them putting together the Frankenstein monster. Again, like some of this is folklore, some of this is urban legend, some of this is actual dark history. So from room to room, you never know what to expect. You just know, like, based on the previous room, this is going to be spooky and funny, and you're going to be walking away wondering what the heck you just saw.
Yeah, and it was definitely shocking at times.
I don't think I want to spoil. I mean, everyone we talk to on a one-to-one basis, we spoil everything because a lot of the people we talk to are never going to make it out there. But for you all that have the potential to experience the Amsterdam dungeon, we won't spoil much of it. We'll just say, like, go in expecting a few things. Expect it to be a little bit scary, very fun, very immersive. Expect to be pulled from the audience to participate, because our group was maybe like 8 to 10 people, and I think everyone except maybe one person was part of the show at some point.
And just participate. The more you immerse yourself in it, the more fun you have.
And the actors are fantastic too. Like they have so much, you can tell they have fun doing what they do.
They obviously have some sort of, I don't want to say script, but they do have a scene they have to play out. But they're also very good at improv, which is really fun. So
food. Some of what we did in Amsterdam, a lot of what we did in Amsterdam, if you go by day, was not covered in our vlogs. And one of the things that we didn't cover, partly because we were tired, partly because we didn't really have a plan and didn't know if the content would turn out to be great.
Sometimes you just need a break.
Yeah, just kind of like meandering around the city and picking up different Dutch staples. Stroopwafels we've had many times before and will continue to have many times in the future. They're always good. But this particular stroopwafel joint was fresh stroopwafel being made right in front of you.
I'm sure there's more than one establishment that has a press that can make them fresh in front of you. Verse stroopwafel. But I was actually trying to find, because I thought I'm really bad at researching. I thought I had found like the oldest stroopwafel press in the Netherlands, and I thought it was in Amsterdam. Maybe it's not. And that's what I was trying to Google, and the first thing that came up with this Hans Eggstorff, I think.
Mm-hmm.
Turns out this is more of like a chain place, but they did make me a really good fresh Versa stroopwafel. It changed my life. It was, 2 minutes or less. It's like on the iron.
Yep.
You
saw it cut with the little
with
mold
this big like it's almost looked like it's like a big metal spatula. They just get in there, cut it perfectly in half, and then just squeeze the syrup right onto it, slap it together, hand it to you in a little paper cardboard sleeve, and then like off you go. You're walking the streets. And this particular place thought ahead and also gave me a wet wipe, which did come in handy, because as you were walking around and the syrup is blowing into your face because you're walking in the winter, in the Netherlands, it did get a little bit messy, but my life was forever changed for
And
good by that waffle.
There's like 4 to 6 of this chain within
we saw a lot of
2-kilometer radius.
We saw a lot of them.
So it was not something that you could have missed if you really wanted to.
It's not like there's one store that's unique. If anyone does know where to find the oldest stroopwafel press, let me know. Maybe it's not even in that city. Maybe it's in like Harlem or something, and I just totally botched that.
Or Rotterdam.
Yeah, who knows? I'll find it next time though, maybe, and try to get us there. But that was delicious. That was definitely a top tier snack.
You can buy stroopwafel in the US, but you can't get it. You just can't get it the way that it's made.
A fresh one anywhere.
Well, you certainly can't get a fresh one, but you cannot get it the way that it's made.
You can buy them, and they say like they have like a Dutch brand on them, but then you read it and it says made in New York City or something like
with
that.
American ingredients that are processed differently, and it just doesn't taste the same.
But yeah, and that's not the only place to get a fresh one, but that was definitely good.
You may talk about Stampot. I know you've been dying to.
Oh, can you talk about Stampot?
Well, it's basically, so Stampot was one of the things that was recommended to us after we announced this trip. Like, oh, if you're coming in the winter, then you have to try Stampot if you want to go.
Winter comfort food.
Dutch staple. We had heard about Stampot beforehand, but we didn't really know what it was. This is it, and you can see it represented in 2 forms there. The typical make, it always involves mashed potatoes in a cake shape. It always involves gravy, and it always involves a meat and a vegetable.
All right, I don't think it always is in this cake shape. I think that's just how the nice restaurant served it, because my cousin also made some for us, and it's Stampot because you put the mashed potatoes and a vegetable of your choice in a pot, and then you stomp. That's
how you get the cake shape. It comes in a pot that big.
No, I don't. I think they may have put it in some sort of mold that made it look very nice. So the cake shape is not a requirement. What's required is mashed potatoes, some sort of vegetable that you have. I think traditionally it's whatever you have in your house. A meat such as the meatball that Tim got, which was really, your meatball was
house-made
really
meatball.
Good. Or a
house-made sausage,
which is what I had. And then it's traditionally veal gravy, but I think you could use any sort of gravy that you want. But I think traditionally I read somewhere that it's veal gravy. So we went to Stampot Amsterdam, which was a Stampot restaurant recommended by a follower of the channel. So thank you. Went there for lunch, and we also didn't we get some sort of appetizer?
We did, but they were, I mean.
Oh yeah, basically they were like pigs in blanket.
Yeah, teeny hot dogs.
Yeah, they were basically like Vienna sausages in dough and with like some sort of ketchup.
They were good, but I will say they were nothing.
They were underwhelming compared to the Stampot. I think
there was nothing innately Dutch about them. Like they didn't taste any fresher or any different than what we would have at home. So there was nothing that necessarily stood out about
this restaurant did have a few traditional Dutch things, including the snert, which was the pea soup, traditional winter pea soup. We did not get that. And honestly, that filled us up. Like the Stampot absolutely filled us up.
Dying walking away
so
from this.
We did not have much room for anything else after
these last 2 slides are chronologically reversed. Like we went to Stampot Amsterdam, and then we walked around and got the stroopwafel. By the time we made it to the stroopwafel,
you were like,
storefront,
I can't have anything.
I was like, I might be able to have a bite. But when we left Stampot Amsterdam, I was like, I don't know if I even want to like look at food right now. Yeah. Like I'm so full.
And I think did you get broccoli? What did you get with yours?
I got broccoli and the meatball, and you got leek and the sausage.
So good. It was so good.
It was, I mean, everything, again, very fresh, came out. I mean, you can even see the steam coming off of the photo, which is...
Yeah. I'd eat that.
I think the next, the next one is you holding, that's portion size, so you can see.
Yeah.
They told us that they were not small, but they were personal size.
Yeah.
So,
and we later were like, we probably could have shared one and been fine.
Well, we shouldn't have ordered an appetizer. I'll say that.
Yeah.
But now we know. And also, this is just a general statement. I don't know why it is. Probably because the food is fresher and it's not so processed. Dutch food just is more filling.
It did like fill us up
we
more.
ate less overall, and we walked more, and we weren't hungrier for all the walking and the eating less. Like we were full for hours at a time, to the point where like we would often make the mistake of ordering. It's in Europe more so than in the US. People are generally more prone to order what they'll eat and not excess. So throwing away excess food,
like the concept
not
of
like
a
you can't do
doggy
it.
bag, you know, take the rest of your leftovers home is not as. I'm not saying it doesn't happen, and maybe it happens more often now, but it's just not as expected.
So generally, we try to order what we think we'll eat. Yeah. And the fact that, you know, size-wise, it's about the same portion size as we would have at home, but we would just walk away so much fuller afterwards. Yeah. And I do think that's because, like, the food is better. It sates you more. It's not as processed. So the more you eat of it, the less you can stand to eat later, which is overall a good thing. Plus, if you're biking as much as the Dutch do, like, you do need those calories. Yeah. So, and you'll burn them off. We did burn off, I would say we got 8 miles estimated of walking every day.
We did a lot of walking, which felt great. My, like, fitness app is like crying right now. It's like your activity level has dropped so much since the beginning of the month.
I would love to be back in Amsterdam, getting
walking around again. Sorry.
Unfortunately, we don't have the infrastructure for that here.
Yeah. And you made a note. One of our other recommendations for a traditional Dutch winter.
Oh yeah, oliebollen.
Oliebollen, which we were told to expect those carts to be everywhere, and maybe we were still kind of early in the winter because it was like November, early December. We only saw one, and we were like, I think we were just about to head to dinner.
In Harlem, and we were
already like not super hungry for dinner, and it was like, I just can't eat a dessert right now. So
by the time we were done with dinner, it was closed.
Yeah. So we'll have to.
Did not get the oliebollen, but it was on the list. We didn't miss it by choice.
We did see one of the brightly lit up colored carts, but we did not get that. So that's to do next time. Just wanted you to know we tried. We tried.
It didn't happen.
It didn't happen.
Speaking of Harlem.
Yes.
So it was important. In addition to, you know, just wanting to see family, it was also important to us to like try and navigate the train system, because taking cars back and forth between Katjuvel, previously Zevenum, and Amsterdam is convenient. And when you're on vacation, like, that time makes a difference. You want to save as much time as you can getting between places so you can spend more time in those places. But because Harlem is only about a 20-minute train ride outside of Amsterdam.
It was like 15 minutes.
It was scheduled to be a 20. Well, we took a different train going than coming.
Maybe, yeah.
I can't remember.
It does depend. Like, some of them had more stops than others.
So there's a Sprinter train and an intercity train, and you would think that the Sprinter would be faster, but I think it was slower than the intercity train. So the nomenclature is a little bit backwards. Regardless, we got on one train. I can't remember which one it was, but it was one that made fewer stops when we transitioned to Harlem.
And the stops aren't slow. Like,
oh no, you have to move
people get
quick.
off and get, like, you got to get on and get off, and then it moves. We were like, oh gosh, we've got to be ready to get off this train when we get to Harlem.
My father he spent his formative years in Germany, in Heidelberg, and he was very used to German efficiency with the trains. Like, the trains are on time and they're never late, and you have to be like right at the platform, right on schedule. And this is not a knock on Germany at all, but it's a well-known fact that at this point in history, the trains in Germany are always late.
German trains have a reputation now for being
whereas the
late.
Dutch trains, I mean, I grant you, like, things can happen, animals on the tracks, weather. I've heard plenty of stories of Dutch trains being late, but for our experiences, they were always right on time, if not a little early. And they made their stops, like Katie said, like, very, very quickly.
Once we knew which platform we went to, we like walked up there, and the train wasn't supposed to leave for like 8 minutes. And we were like, we waited and waited.
Yeah, this one you're looking at,
thinking it was not our train. And then we looked at it, and I think you were the smart one who was like, I think this could be our train. And I was like, oh, and we got on it, and 7 minutes later.
Yeah, you were looking at the train car and you said, "No, this is the wrong train number." I'm like, "That's the class number."
Yeah.
If you're looking at the cabins, there's 222-111.
Yeah.
and next time, I do want to drive first class just to see how different it is. But second class was great.
I mean, I would pay for first class on a train not going only 20 minutes.
I don't know. It was only like what, €5 more per person.
Nah, I don't want my first class experience to be here's 20 minutes.
I don't think they wait on you hand and foot.
No, that's my whole point. I want fancy.
I don't think there's like, a spa in there.
I want fancy.
Anyway,
the train was very clean,
smooth,
comfortable.
Easy. Yep.
Yeah, tracks were smooth. I was like, look at us, we're taking the train to Haarlem, and that's what we did.
So Haarlem, this again is not a vlog day. This was just, us walking around, kind of seeing how Dutch citizens outside of the big touristy cities actually live life. And we did take a couple of pictures. We walked around a little bit. We went into a really cute bookstore.
Yep.
Haarlem is still close enough to Amsterdam that everyone speaks very fluent English. Most cities and towns in the Netherlands, you'll find native English speakers. But the further you get outside the big cities, the more straight Dutch is spoken and the less English is spoken fluently.
Yeah.
Haarlem, I think as soon as we got off the train, like everyone started speaking English to us, instinctively. And
Haarlem is kind of, I don't want to offend anyone who has lived there or whatnot, but to me it was like Amsterdam, but light. There were still canals. There was still that beautiful Dutch architecture. It felt less busy. It felt less touristy. I wouldn't say it like as a small town per se, but it was definitely a little more quaint, a little more quiet.
It genuinely felt like we were going from Washington, D.C. in Amsterdam to like old Baltimore.
Yeah.
In Haarlem.
It's like still a city, but again, just still
thriving community,
still very
less big brand. Like, I'm sure there is one, but I didn't see a McDonald's. And you saw like 3 walking between the station and Dam Square.
You don't have like the big, the big windows and the big expensive stores.
We did find an awesome, it was a chain, but we did go into like this awesome
like bagels
coffee shop. Bagels and Beans, that's what it was.
Yeah. And my cousin kind of compared it to like, I guess, coming across like a Panera in a city, but
with much better custom cookery.
Yeah, such better food, and it was so cute.
And this windmill that you're seeing in this picture, it is actually a museum. I made some notes.
Windmill de Adriaan.
Adriaan. Yep. What is it? Not windmill? I guess windmollen is the plural.
Windmill? I don't know. You wrote down windmill.
Well, I copied and pasted that directly from the internet listing. So if I made a mistake, it's because someone else made a mistake. Anyway, Adriaan is the windmill in the Netherlands that burnt down in 1932, was rebuilt in 2002. The original windmill dates from 1779, and the mill has been a distinctive part of the skyline of Haarlem for centuries. So this was the one thing that you had said you wanted to do in Haarlem.
It was just... There are a couple of museums. We didn't make any plans, and there's a famous like old church there as well. The Corrie ten Boom, not Boom.
Yeah.
Corrie ten Boom house is in Haarlem as well. Who's I read a book about her, the hiding place in middle school. There's definitely some things to do and see in Haarlem, but some of them do involve a little bit of pre-planning, and we didn't want to overpack our itinerary. So I was like, these are just things we can see walking around. And one of them was this famous windmill, which unfortunately was getting some winter maintenance at the time. So you can see the scaffolding. It wasn't moving or anything. So I was like, that's okay. But still cool. It's still nice to know it's been restored and preserved since it was rebuilt.
And there are this is actually a museum in and of itself. It's just a very small one. There are tours. We could have gone inside and done a tour, but it was getting to be late in the day, and we did have dinner plans, and we didn't know how long the tour would take, so we didn't want to commit to it and then wind up burning through our entire
And we had,
Harlem
you know,
exploring time.
Yeah, so we mostly walked around and got a feel for the city, which was lovely.
I can't remember if the next slide is a Harlem slide.
Did it?
No, it's not. It's not. So we'll wrap up Harlem by saying that it was a lovely little town, and it seems like there's actually a YouTuber who we follow because we've been interested a little bit more in Dutch culture, named It's Sky, which is ITZSKY. And he lives in Harlem and has shown off, like, you know, on his walk. Most of his channel is like, here's the difference between US and the Netherlands. But he shows off a little bit of Harlem walking from his place of residence to his office every day, and then just does the talks on his way. And it always looked like a cute little town.
Yeah.
And we did spend some time on like a market street in Harlem that had like a little bit of life.
I wish I
unto
remember
itself.
what the name of the street was. It's probably famous, but it's got like a lot of shops, bakeries.
I bought Lorcana cards from
there were
toy
some
shop.
cute like toy stores. It had lights on it. And that's actually where at the end of that street where we saw the Oli Bolin cart at
the only
end.
place we saw.
So definitely, and what was cute was also seeing posters in the windows for different Christmas events going to happen in Harlem. And apparently, according to my cousin, we were just going to miss the opening of the Christmas market in Harlem. That's apparently very lovely. So definitely would have to check that out another time.
I think we visited at the right time for like fairer weather, and we made the most of our vacation time because we flew on.
There was no way we were going to see and do everything, and we were still quite early. Like we were there for like the Sinterklaas, like the night where the children's shoes are filled.
He filled the shoes at Efteling.
And then Sinterklaas, I think the last day is December 5th when he sails back to Spain. So we were there during that time. So it was kind of cool to see the Sinterklaas tradition, a little bit of that. We didn't see any like super big parades or anything like that. But
which is honestly like one of the things that I wanted to touch on culture wise is that Christmas is not as commercialized in the Netherlands. And I have browsed Reddit and seen plenty of people saying like Christmas is nuts here. Everyone goes nuts for Santa Claus. It's a huge commercial, you know, blowout. And from your perspective as Dutch citizens, that is true.
Yeah,
it is a bigger holiday,
more commercialized, but
than most of the other ones.
If you haven't spent November and December in the US, then you've got no leg to stand on in terms of how crazy Christmas can be and how commercialized it is.
It's nuts how on November 1st, sometimes on October 31st, you will start hearing Christmas music playing in superstores.
And that was awesome. Like seeing like the lights of Christmas, the decorations, seeing Christmas trees for sale. That's the kind of stuff I do like to see. I don't like to walk into a drugstore and hear Mariah Carey 18,000 times.
Yeah.
That annoys me. And I don't like I do like some Christmas music, but I don't like hearing the same like America's Top 40 Christmas songs over and over and over again.
And
that was nice to get a break from that for a week in the Netherlands.
One of the things that I really liked about the Netherlands as a whole this time of year, and granted, like, again, we did not stay through the month of December. It could get wilder and crazier and maybe more commercially draining. But the time that we spent there, the emphasis wasn't so much on Christmas or Sinterklaas. It was more so on winter celebration. Like during November to February, the things that we went to winter Efteling, we didn't go to Efteling Christmas. It was more so just like we're celebrating this time of year as the changing of the seasons, the winter solstice, the different things that are special about the chillier months when it gets darker earlier. You know, because Dutch winters are heavy on the rain and the clouds and the gloomy outlook where you don't see the sun for long periods at a time, there are excuses made to get out of the house and do things so that you don't, become a recluse and like sit up in bed just wondering.
Cabin fever.
Yeah, cabin fever. So there's all kinds of festivals, including the one we're about to talk about, that are just essentially made to celebrate the things that are special and unique about the winter, that are reasons to get out and do something. And I like that they're not tied to a particular holiday, because then you don't get sick of that holiday. You have Olibollen that everyone seems to get excited about this time of year. Those booths are set up, and that's not tied to Christmas. That's tied to, it's getting colder. Wouldn't you like a warm snack?
Warm bread treat.
It's just fun, and it takes the pressure off of celebrating in any particular way. You can do whatever it is that suits you, whatever gets you out of the house and gets you excited about the winter season. Everyone is behind whatever that thing is. So one of these things is the Amsterdam Light Festival, and this is a winter tradition in the city of Amsterdam. We just barely made the beginning of it, and I think
the 14th year. I think.
Can neither confirm or deny, but I trust you if you know.
I think it was 14. I think the app said it was the 14th year.
So this video, which was a lot of fun to like walk. I mean, I think this day in particular, we walked like 12 miles because we did a whole big loop. You can take canal boats to do this tour, and it obviously will save your feet a little bit of trouble. But I kind of like the walking tour because it had the food stops. This experience is self-guided to an extent. I think there's 20 to 27, depending on the year, beautiful displays in a 5 to 6 mile walk around the city center. If you don't make any food stops. If you make the food stops, and we paid for the food walk, which was 4 different restaurants participating in, let me put together like a signature dish for you. And it was €40 per person, which sounds like a lot initially for walking around and seeing lights. But the food that they give you, there's way more than €40 worth of food that we ate.
Yeah, it's definitely like, and also it costs like, I think around €5 just to have access to the app, which you don't need. Like you can, all of these things helpful. Are public. You can find them, but the map helps point out where the light displays are and provide some information and background on the artist and the displays. And you get a little bit more, like some of them you can kind of infer some meaning out of. But I thought, some of them had some interactivity to them. Mm-hmm. So the app, having access to the app was great. And honestly, like $40 for the kind of food we were eating and the snacks and just getting out there and trying 4 different restaurants in Amsterdam was really fun. Like, it's not a cheap date night, if 2 people, $80 but we've spent more than that on worse food.
Oh, absolutely.
And you're walking it off as you go, so you can.
And that's the other thing.
Indulge in that.
You do burn the calories walking around in ways that you wouldn't on a canal boat. You also get to get up close and personal with the art, and some of it I think is designed to be seen from the canal boats, and there are certain angles that you can only get from the canal boats. So both experiences are valid and fun. But we were able to do things like this, get up, walk right amongst the displays for certain exhibits and get pictures and angles and views that nobody else would be able to get. And also move at our own pace, which it did take a little longer on foot, obviously, to get from each display to each display. But when did it start?
So they turned them on, I think, at 5 or 5:30. And on the night that we were walking around, which was a Friday night, the displays were going to be lit until 11:30.
Yeah. The food,
yeah.
If you do get the food walk upgrade,
you have until 9:30 to be seated or whatever.
The restaurants may stay open after that, but you do have a cutoff.
You have to check into your last restaurant by 9:30, which we were good. I think we were at 8:30 something when we did our last one.
Yeah, so. But there was a minute where you were panicking.
I was panicking because I thought everything turned off at 9:30, and I was like, "There's no way we're gonna finish eating and get to 12 more displays." And then I calmed down when I realized that they weren't going to turn off till 11:30.
And the food stops also take you into, I mean, they take you a little bit off course. There's no question. You do have to backtrack a little bit to get back on the route from exhibit to exhibit. But when you go to these different places to pick up food, not only are you trying different types of food and different establishments, you're also seeing other sides of the city that you might not otherwise have a reason to explore.
We tended to like walk the same streets to get to the same places a lot. And this walking tour took us down streets that we had never walked before or never seen, and saw buildings. We ended up, the last restaurant we went to was... I have no better word for it other than Pride Alley. It's a famous street that has a lot of LGBTQ plus bars, restaurants, entertainment, things like that. There was like a drag bar right across it, and I was like, dang. And we kept saying, if we had one more night, if we weren't having to leave tomorrow, we could just hang out here or come back. But it was very cool. So I really enjoyed it. This was probably one of my favorite things we did, if not my favorite. I just really enjoyed the art, the displays, the food, and just being out there seeing the city.
It was our coldest night, I think, that we had throughout our visit. So that was a little bit unfortunate in that, like, you know, we're walking around, it's like 25 degrees Fahrenheit. I don't know what it is in Celsius. And with the wind chill, because you are on the water, it started to get a lot colder towards the end of our walk. And I was a little bit under the weather. But I don't think you can tell in the video.
I don't remember feeling cold. I think because we were
moving and grooving for a lot of it.
And for us, we were lucky. Every restaurant but one was able to seat us inside. They do not guarantee any seating.
Well, even the one was able to seat us inside. We chose to eat outside because we knew we were going to be filming.
Yeah,
and it was a much quieter.
But it was even then. It was
luxurious.
It was a heated, not balcony.
Patio.
It was a heated patio. So.
And what pictured here on the left side, the right side is actually an image from the walk from Dam Square to the start point, which for us was Amsterdam Central.
Boom.
On the left side was one of the meals that they gave us as part of, like, again, 4 stops of this particular stop. We got
sushi hand rolls
and
a glass of fruit or kava sparkling wine.
So granted, I'm not a big sushi fan or a big tuna fan, and this was both. I was trying new things on this trip, some old things that I hadn't tried in a long time, because I had a feeling, and I was absolutely right, that these different places overseas in the Netherlands would serve me better food than that which I had tried in America and didn't care for. So there's a whole lot of new experiences in this vlog. It was a fun night out, and although it was cold, I think, like, we learned a lot, we saw a lot, and we got to see a different side of Amsterdam than we had previously seen.
Like the last time we were walking around there at night, it never really got dark. And this time it was dark.
It was all dark all the time.
It was all dark.
Anyway, this will be its own vlog. I think it's probably going to come out ahead of the other Amsterdam experience vlogs, just because this festival, by the time the video gets out, it will be almost over. But highly recommend if you're going to Amsterdam in the wintertime. It runs from like November to January, mid-November, I should say, to early January. But it does have a pretty lengthy span that you can squeeze in. So it's something that I absolutely would recommend to anyone, particularly if you are looking for reasons to get out of the hotel and do something.
Yeah.
Speaking of the hotel, I said we would circle back to the Krasnopolski, and that we will. So the Grand Hotel Krasnopolski, as I mentioned, is in Dam Square, which was beautifully decked out for Christmas. Everything within, I would say, a 1 to 2 kilometer radius was decorated extra fancy. That's because Dam Square is kind of central to the shopping areas. So you had people walking through different corners and canals and going door to, I mean, this is where we're like 3 McDonald's, a pizza place, like anything you want, you can find in this area. And that's what makes Krasnopolski such a great place to stay, because it's, in our room at least, it was very quiet, but it's also in the center of everything. So if you need to get out and get something, drugstore, fast food, ATM, yeah, you're smack in the middle of everything. There's something within a few steps of you if you need it. The hotel itself, this was our room this time around. Walking in, I think we booked the same room type that we had previously had on the 2023 summer trip. And we got all the same amenities, but in a completely different configuration.
Yeah.
And I think our view was a little bit more limited this time around, but I was totally fine with that because the hotel is for sleeping for the most part. It was one of the most comfortable rooms of my life.
Very
It was, the bed is, I mean, that's a king size, like an American king, combining two different European size beds to create an American king size bed. The hotel itself is obviously in a port city where English is predominantly the spoken language. People come in and out of Amsterdam, and specifically Dam Square, from all over the world. So you're getting a lot of the same amenities that you're used to from an American hotel, but held to a European standard, which does make a huge difference. I think, like I've said it before and I'll say it again, there's lots of much cheaper places to stay in Amsterdam, but I, for my part, will probably only stay here if I have a choice because it is just such a magnificent stay. The staff were absolutely bananas good to us. I've called her out a million times. Renee, who checked us in, was so kind to us and saw like we're trying our best to speak Dutch. We're trying to practice. We've been on Duolingo for 2.5 years. She's, being very patient, talking slowly and checking us in Dutch. And we're able to have like an almost complete conversation in Dutch, checking ourselves in. And we're getting new words all the time. Like every time we speak to a Dutch citizen, we get a new word of the day. And the word of the day for this whole trip was gezellig. So when we were talking about, she asked in Dutch, what has your stay been like? If you enjoyed anything, these are the pieces of conversation that we have a harder time with because we don't know all the adjectives yet. But we did pick up gezellig. So when we said like, oh, it's been in Dutch, very gezellig, which means no direct American translation, but the loose translation is like cozy, warm, delightful. She says, oh, well, now you're full-blown Dutch because you're using gezellig. She saw us up to our room, which was, the Krasnopolski is actually a conglomerate of 3 different buildings. Yeah. Old structures that have been renovated and now contain like new and modern architecture. So to get to our room, we had to go up the elevator in the main building, cross over to the next building,
and go up another
elevator. So we had it was a very adventurous route. And she took us the whole way. And once we were checked in and stable, we went back out. We came back out, a couple hours later, or came back to the hotel a couple hours later, and found a tin of stroopwafels and a friendly note saying,
and a little
tea cookies,
fresh
flowers and tea cookies. Yeah, a whole like little assortment saying, enjoyed talking to you.
Let's speak in
the next time you stay. We'll have like a full conversation in Dutch. Yeah. And I genuinely think there may come a day sooner than later where that's possible. I felt like we got through most of that conversation without switching to English, and that made me very proud of the progress we've made so far. All the staff at the Krasnopolski were of like mind. Like they're out for you. They smile at you. They wish you good morning. Multiple different language spoken there. French, I heard a lot. Bonjour.
There was a lot of French people.
There was a French conference going on.
Yeah.
There, so there was a lot more French than last time. But especially in the Winter Garden, where all the French nationals would come for breakfast. If you don't pay for the breakfast package at the Krasnopolski, you are wasting your money. I guess you're not using your money effectively.
Yeah, I mean, your stay will still be great, but you are losing out on one of the high points of the hotel. It's a international multicultural breakfast buffet. There is no anything your mind can fathom for the most part. You
British breakfast staples, American breakfast staples, probably French breakfast staples, if I remember being in France. And then definitely some Dutch things as well.
Dutch pancakes were fun,
the Dutch pancakes were good. I really, and also like a machine that's like literally squeezing oranges into orange juice. It's just very cool.
I almost took a video of it, but it felt basic.
An omelet station, fried egg station, and there's also things I saw, like didn't partake, but there's also things you can order a la carte as well if there's, if you're craving something in particular.
And when you're seated, they will, there's still attendants that will take you to your table and then ask you, like, do you need any coffee
order, tea
They'll take care of you. And because it's all, you pay for breakfast in advance. So like you're basically being waited on hand and foot once you've sat down. You have the option to go and get your own food, whatever you want, as many plates as you want, but they will take care of you if you have like a special request, like I need a steak knife, or if you need coffee, or if I had asked for a Coke Zero, I probably would have gotten one, but I did have, I would take a bottle of Coke Zero to breakfast with me because I'm a junkie and that's my caffeine for the day. Having said that, like, just one of the best breakfasts I think we've had in Europe and across all of our travels thus far. The food in Europe has just been generally better than anything we've had in the US, but the Winter Garden breakfast is definitely a high point.
We're always just missing it when we leave. Always the food.
I forgot to mention too, with regard to the room at the Krasnopolski and what I was saying before about the staff, every time you leave your room, if you leave the do not disturb ticker, it's a button you click. It's not like
it's like a light on the that door. Shows.
If you leave that thing off and they come and service your room, you're getting like a full deep clean. It's not like a, dust, make the bed, we're out. Like they would like vacuum, they would like wipe the mirror down. Yeah. Like it would look like it was a brand new room. So
excellent service.
It's definitely on the more luxurious end of hotel stays, and it's not cheap. I'm not going to sit here and pretend that it's like the most affordable option, but especially given that shortly after we left, they did increase like I can't remember
VAT?
The VAT, like the overnight tourism tax on non-Dutch nationals coming to stay in the country. So it's going to get more expensive, and it's already not cheap. However, I think if you are planning a trip to Amsterdam and you want to be conveniently able to access everything, you want to have great staff, if you want to have a clean room, if you want to have relatively thick walls where you can't hear your neighbors doing whatnot, and you want to have one of the best breakfasts in Europe.
Great stay.
I can't speak highly enough of this place. Thank you for coming to my TED Talk. Things we liked about Amsterdam and the Netherlands as a whole, but particularly Amsterdam. Holiday decor, beautiful light displays. This includes, but is not limited to, the Winter Light Festival displays. It also includes things like giant
window displays,
Christmas trees, window displays, the interactive, someone standing in front of the Lego store doing like Jack in the Box and talking to people.
The little elf.
We missed Sinterklaas's parade by not that much. So we saw it advertised on other Dutch Instagram profiles, and then we got there and Sinterklaas is come and gone. And the best we got of him was the stuffed shoes the following morning at Efteling. But they are pretty big on making sure that the holidays have a known presence. So while Christmas may be not commercialized to the extent that we're used to, it's commercialized to the extent that like people celebrate it and it's decorated.
It was pretty and it was jolly, but it didn't feel super tacky. It's also really fun to watch Dutch people buy their Christmas trees because a lot of them don't have a car.
Oh yeah, Christmas trees go by on bikes.
They're like resting them on a bike or putting them in their big bike bucket thing, or just carrying them. That's charming. I loved being there for like the beginning of the Christmas season. I honestly, with how much it was hammered into our heads that like Sinterklaas is first and then Christmas, I wasn't expecting things to be as decorated. I mean, when we landed in Schiphol, there was a huge Christmas displays there as well, and I was like, oh well, isn't this pretty?
Christmas Bowman.
Yep. So love the decorations. It was lovely.
But it's not too much.
No,
like you said, like it's
even little restaurants we would go into would just have some garlands, some lights. Like it wasn't overblown. And don't get me wrong, I love a tacky Christmas too. But
to an extent.
No, I love a tacky Christmas. I can speak for myself. I love a tacky Christmas.
I'm speaking for myself to an extent.
Yeah. But coming from like, it was nice to experience something different, I'll say.
Food quality, we've harped on this plenty over the course of this live stream and the last live stream.
I don't want to talk about it anymore. It's just making me sad.
It's sad that we have what we have here. Don't get me wrong. Like, there's food that we enjoy here in the U.S. There are staples that are good for comfort food that are difficult to replace overseas. But there's also just an overall quality to the food.
I had a burger at McDonald's that had a aioli and arugula on it. Like, just let that sink in for a second. You're like McDonald's.
And if you don't live in the US, you're
lucky if you get like soggy iceberg lettuce on a McDonald's burger here. So the fact that there was like a burger that was like, here's like this garlic truffle aioli and arugula, which I learned is called rucola, which I think is pretty cool in the Netherlands. I was like, the burger itself is not like amazing, but the fact that it was like a nice bun, real ingredients, fresh stuff, I was like, this isn't bad.
It's in some ways it's more expensive because it has to be and some things are cheaper and some things are more expensive, and it's kind of a crapshoot as to what's going to be what. But the food that you pay for in the Netherlands is of generally higher quality. Of course, there's some bad food that's sold from bad vendors, and you're just I mean that's a global issue. But overall, I think you can trust, as an American traveling abroad, you can trust the food in the Netherlands to be of a higher standard of quality than the food that you would get in whatever American equivalent to the restaurant you're looking at.
Yeah.
Activities.
So many activities.
Did I spell that right? Yeah, activities.
It does look kind of weird.
I did a double
caps.
take. Yeah.
There's a lot of eyes.
There are many eyes.
Activities.
All eyes on you. So much to do, so little time. Amsterdam, in particular, is a city with just an infinite number of different things that you can experience or explore. We talked about how we didn't make it to any of the museums this time because we wanted a different kind of trip. But we did do a lot of things that we didn't do last time. And on the way, we saw 5 to 6 more things that we want to do next time. This goes for any city to an extent, but Amsterdam, I think, is so rich in its culture and its history and in its modern relevancy that like you could stay there 1,000 times and always find something new to do.
And because you are so close to the station, like some things that I would like to do more next time is getting on the train and going an hour and seeing a new city.
Yep.
And like it's easy to do.
I have never been to The Hague, and I know you have.
Yes.
But like these are areas of the Netherlands that are like well, I've never been to Rotterdam either.
Going
like
to Rotterdam, Utrecht, Dordrecht, like all of
Eindhoven, like
smaller cities outside of the big ones. They're not hard to get to. You just need to get on the train. So
it does eat a day. And if you have plans in Amsterdam, as we did pretty much every day, because there was things we wanted to do that we couldn't double up on. So yes, there's always more to see and do. And I think, the more time that we're able to spend in the Netherlands, the more we'll be able to experience those things. But in Amsterdam, in particular,
it's still
there's an infinite number of activities.
One of my favorite cities I've ever visited. It's just, I do love it.
It's not without its faults,
yeah.
But it has a lot of character. And generally, I like the character that Amsterdam had. Proximity. With an asterisk, everything is walkable except Amaze Amsterdam.
Or probably
busable, trammable, bikeable.
It's got good infrastructure.
Yeah. I think that, as I've said, where we were staying by design is one of the best places to stay for proximity to different types of activities and things you want to do.
But, and like by all means, there's plenty of hotels in Amsterdam. go for what fits your budget. Again, the Krasnopolsky is not a cheap hotel, but there's plenty of hotels around Dom Square that are probably still pricier because of proximity to Dom Square, but there's others. We walk past a lot of them.
Airbnbs. There's like I found,
it is a good location.
I sound like I'm sponsored by the Krasnopolsky. I'm not. Like I would love to be, but I'm not. I love that hotel, and I love it because of where it is and the experiences that we've had.
Really good experiences there.
However, I think, yes, as Katie said, like anywhere in Amsterdam, you have a certain proximity to a lot of really cool experiences. And if you know how to use the infrastructure of the different tram networks and the trains and the buses, and if you want to rent a bike, that'll get you around certainly much faster than walking. It's not a small city, but it's very well connected. It's very easy to get from one side of it to another. Things we dislike. It's a short list, but it is there. And we didn't want to talk about all the things we loved and gush about Amsterdam without, adding a little dose of reality to it as well. Smoking. I'm a little snarky about this particular issue because I'm asthmatic and also because I wasn't feeling especially well. So smoking, as many will know, in Europe, it's more prominent than I think it is at this point in the United States. Not to say we don't have smokers, just that in the US, we're used to them having a designated area.
Yeah,
and in Europe, it's more out and
not
about.
allowed even at some restaurants outdoors anymore in the US. So just a different, the US has a different approach to public health than Europe, and some things I completely disagree with how the US is approaching public health and feel like Europe is doing better, and vice versa. So we did hear from Dutch natives or people that have lived in the Netherlands for a while that it seems like smoking isn't being picked up as much by the young people. It's more of like the middle-aged and older people that are kind of holding on to a habit that's very hard to break. So maybe someday we'll see a little bit less of the public smoking, but it's not going to deter us from visiting or spending more time in Europe.
And I do want to say too, like if you are watching this and you are a smoker who will routinely have like a cigarette on the way to work in Amsterdam or another city in the Netherlands, I'm not picking on you. I'm not saying you shouldn't do what you want to do. I'm just saying, like, as someone who is used to a different experience.
These are the cultural things that we don't miss when we leave.
Yeah. And speaking of legal and illegal, given the subtitle, there's more than one kind of smoking. In Amsterdam in particular, there's coffee shops, which are not to be mistaken for places that serve exclusively coffee,
cafes
all over the Netherlands. And in said coffee shops, you can pick up different hemp products that have been completely legalized. It is technically illegal to smoke the marijuana products and the hemp products in the public spaces. However, that doesn't really deter anyone from doing it.
Yeah.
Walking through Amsterdam, because it's such a hub and a port city, and there's so many people coming in and out of it every day, there is a strong lingering smell of hemp and also cigarettes, and you can't really go 2 or 3 blocks without getting a whiff of one of the two. So as Katie said, like, this is just a cultural difference. It's not something that, like, I want to say it shouldn't be happening, or that, I'm picking on you because if you're one of those that has a cigarette or a blunt on your way from one place to another. It's just something that I'm not particularly fond of about Amsterdam in particular. Didn't have that problem in Katjubel, but it's a smaller city.
Yeah, we did.
Efteling does have designated smoking areas.
Yeah, we mostly spent our time in Katjubel in Efteling. We weren't walking the streets all that
But we have before.
Yes.
We've been in and out of Katjubel.
But it's also, it's just not as... And honestly, who's to say the people smoking were not tourists themselves too?
Oh, I fully expect that a good 50% were.
Yeah, I don't think it's
at least
necessarily
50%.
The locals doing all that.
No, and I mean that is the way of the world. I gave this one a sassy subtitle. Jaywalking in the sense of crossing a street without a signal to cross the street. This is a problem for a couple of reasons. And one of the things that caused us stress was the fact that Amsterdam, as we've stated, very tourist heavy. A lot of people in Amsterdam are not Dutch nationals who don't recognize that they stand to lose their legs if they cross without looking both ways.
Or if they're just walking in the bike lane without a care.
Yeah. We have made that mistake. Like we learned by doing. It was not an easy lesson, and I've also, been on a bike and had to stick to the bike lanes, and it's difficult to navigate those as well. Reason being, there are so many bikes in Amsterdam and the Netherlands as a whole, and Dutch bikers, not all of them, and it's not an insult to those that I'm referring to, can be very aggressive because they've got a destination in mind. They're trying to go from A to B as quickly as possible, and they are used to navigating traffic. Tourists are not. So when you're walking through the streets of Amsterdam, you're going to see probably during your stay hundreds of thousands of bikes, of course, across a couple of days. And all of those bikes have the potential to run you over if you're not paying attention.
You have to be paying. You have to watch out for cars. You have to watch out for cycles. You have to watch out for the little Vespas now. And trams.
Yeah.
Those are all things that can be happening all at once. And there are, in busy intersections, traffic signals and things like that. And of course, like if you're on a street that has no traffic signals, you just got to walk when you can. But just, double check. The bikes can come around the corners very fast. And, I don't know what the rate of accidents is. I think it's probably fairly low.
Bikes always have the right of way,
but legally. you don't want to be the news blurb for the day.
And when I call attention specifically to jaywalking, I don't know if that's a term that covers European standards, but in the US that means like crossing when you don't have the legal right of way to cross,
or crossing where there's not a designated crosswalk.
Yeah, it's exceptionally dangerous to do that in Amsterdam. You should always cross where you have crosswalk, zebra, whatever you want to call it.
Yeah.
But you should also, even when you're crossing legally, you do need to look both ways. It's just like when the tourists are frantically crossing and running across streets with no signal, I'm like, oh, we're going to watch someone die.
Yeah.
And it's not fun. So be advised, if you're visiting as a tourist, just stay alert, look both ways, regardless of whether you have a signal or not, but always cross at a signal and a crosswalk.
Yeah. And as long as you're paying attention and following traffic signals, I will say, like, Amsterdam does feel like one of the safer cities to walk around in. Like, it's
absolutely.
It's not, it's only dangerous if you're not paying attention, so to speak. That's what I think anyway.
This is the gripe of someone who is trying to learn a new language. And I think it would go for any language in any port city. We have been practicing Dutch for a couple of years, as we've stated. We're not great at it, but we are at a sufficiently beginner level. And the more practice we get, the more immersion we get, the better we are at speaking it. And that's important to us. In Amsterdam, I assume in Rotterdam and other big cities as well, if they recognize you as a tourist...
If they clock you for a tourist or an English speaker, they'll switch.
Yeah, they don't even give you the option necessarily.
You could greet someone the perfect goedemorgen or goedenavond, and then
they'll say good morning.
And you're like, dang it, how did you know?
Well, I know how they know. I mean, I look very American. I wear the caps.
Wear hoodies and
caps. I have a distinctively American skater style look, and that's just how I'm comfortable, and unfortunately, that means that I'm gonna get more English spoken to me than Dutch. Having said that, outside of Amsterdam, and in certain areas of Amsterdam, we had no problem having Dutch conversations. People were willing. My favorite moment of the trip, actually, was when we walked into a maze Amsterdam. I'm wearing like nondescript clothing, and we start speaking to the kiosk manager in Dutch, and he starts speaking to us in English and then stops when he hears us speaking in Dutch and goes, "Are you Dutch?" And we're like, "No, but thank you." So in Amsterdam, I think even if they don't clock you as a tourist, sometimes they just default to English more often because they're so much more used to having tourists in and out of that city every day. Rightfully so.
But we did have some patient people who were willing to let us try to practice. And that was very nice. And overall, I think we definitely spoke way more Dutch in Amsterdam this time than we did before.
And I will say,
we got more confident with some phrases and such.
I think it's certainly fair to say that if you only speak English, you can get in and out of Amsterdam, no problem. You will never have any issues there. However, the Dutch that we have interacted with, on any level really, seem to be appreciative of the fact that we were trying. You know, regardless of whether or not we were in 2023 and we only knew like 4 or 5 words versus in 2025 when we're able to have like, you know, a beginner conversation back and forth before we hit a wall. If you make the attempt to try and connect with the culture, at least to learn, please, thank you, where's the bathroom, may I have the bill, you know, little polite phrases so that you can interact in the language that is befitting the area you're in. I think that goes a long way. And I wish that Amsterdam was a little less rooted in, I wish it was a little less anglicized, I guess is the best way to put it. But I understand why it is that way. And I think it's just kind of a drawback of being a more tourist heavy destination. Yeah. So English may be inflicted upon you, but that does not mean you shouldn't try to learn Dutch. I think the next slide is our creator spotlight.
Yeah,
so
we're wrapping up.
We're wrapping up here. Vlogs from this trip are coming. I know they have been delayed, and I know there are a lot of Dutchies that have been watching our channel since the last trip in 2023, and we're so appreciative of you guys. Thank you so much for putting up with us figuring ourselves out as we go. We're very interested in the Dutch culture, as you can tell, and we're very appreciative of how the Dutch have always welcomed us with open arms. Efteling, Winter Efteling, all the vlogs from that trip will be the first to release after, I think, 2 more weeks of content that we've shot here, and we have media obligations to push out. And then I will probably do Winter Light Festival in Amsterdam ahead of Adam Lookout and Amaze Amsterdam, just because those last 2 experiences are evergreen, whereas the Winter Light Festival is only going to be relevant for a very short window. And may yet miss that window anyway, but I'll do my best. I do want to share everything, and we are excited to share more of those experiences. We just had a few obligations to clear first. So thank you for joining us for the live stream. I will go ahead and close us out with Creator Spotlight. Not a Dutch account, but one of our good friends who has recently hit 10,000 followers on Instagram. If you are a book nerd or a part of the bookish community, you will love following Valeria, and it's Valeria like malaria, but with a V. Valeria.reads.it.all on Instagram and Goodreads. Check her out. She does all kinds of content. She reads all kinds of things. And the more support she gets, the more she is able to partner with more publishers to read new things and share those stories. So we're very proud of our friend, and we just wanted to shout her out before we go ahead and wrap up. Our next live stream will be next year, but next year is only like a week and a half away, so it's not that far. It's 2 weeks away from today, actually, January 6th at 7:30 p.m. Eastern, which I know is very late for those on the other side of the world from us. We appreciate anyone who's watching this on the replay, whether you're watching it in real time or not, never matters to us. We're just appreciative for your time. Appreciative.
I wasn't going to correct you until you said it again. And I was like, oh yeah, that does sound weird.
Sometimes I shoot my own self in the foot.
We're tired.
It's the holidays.
It's the holiday season.
We're already tired. All right, y'all. Thank you all so much for tuning in. Until next time, I've been Tim.
I'm Katie.
And every night
is a new adventure.
We'll see you again soon. Happy holidays. Happy Christmas.
Merry Christmas. Happy Christmas.
Merry Christmas. Sinterklaas. New Year. Merry Crisis.